All right. My mom's is in the house. Give it up for my mom. Yeah. All right. This poem is, I guess you'll hear it. But I think that when we think about this library, especially on the first day that we opened it, my best friend came and sang Isaiah. He sang a gospel song called "He's Sweet I Know," and I think in all of our, excitement and celebration, God was like, "Don't leave me out." Don't leave me out, and we didn't. So here's this poem. It's called "Sometimes You See It Clearly." I love God because God told somebody to love me. Some bodies to love me, saw me, 6 pounds, 7 ounces. God was like, feed him for me. And she did. My mom's filling this growing belly with everything from Similac to Sakatimi cake. From red vines to red beans and rice, neck bones and rice, butter, sugar, and rice. Gobstoppers with the occasional Whopper. And I grew. Two-stepping in the kitchen to Luther Vandross with the green beans boiling down. My mother whipping up Miracle Whip miracles. Deep-fried compassion mixed in with the passion fruit Kool-Aid. I love God because God told somebody to love me. Some bodies to love me. Saw me, 13 years old. Peach fuzz on my lip, chapstick on my hip. God was like, teach him for me. And he did. My pops showed me how he paid rent by lifting bags of cement. A lesson in each 2x4. A mentorship in each foot of measuring tape. Taught me that anything can be built if you can see the pieces and put them together in the right order. Put them together in the right order if you can see the dry wood behind the dry wall. I love God because God told somebody to love me. Some bodies to love me. God told the preacher, preach to him. And they did. An I Love Lucy conveyor belt of prayers headed toward me. Sermon after song, song after sermon. I see you doing better, but you can do better. I see you doing better, but please do better. Drums, piano, bass, and hands waving. Be ye therefore holy, for I am holy. And after the singing and the dancing and the praying, a hug, a handshake, a healing. After the reasonable service in the dirt parking lot, here's $20. A phone number written on a piece of paper. A lifeline reading, call me if you need anything. We love you. Let me know if you need a ride home. I love God because God told every teacher I had, this is my beloved son, born with a high yellow hedge around him called family. And still today, I run my fingertips on the branches of my family tree and say to my creator, thank you. Good looking out. God looking out. God looking in on the inward part of me to see if I am really grateful. And I am really grateful. I love God because God told somebody to love me, some bodies to love me, then told me to love somebody, gave me 7 bodies under my own roof to love, paying rent and homage, changing hearts, minds, and diapers, gift wrapping fatherhood with life lessons and Lunchables, trying to be a good husband by paying bills and giving unlicensed massages. My wife and I both trimming and pruning 6 childhoods in our home. Pouring out love unto these bodies because these bodies love me. I am the fruit and labor of my teachers. My parents in the Lord in the living room. I love God because God told somebody to love me. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Nico.
What's up, everybody? Are we having a great time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, when I tell you guys I love Trader James, but I'm gonna be honest. This library has shaped my entire career. Let me tell you guys a story, because my poem is short. My story's gonna be long because my poem is short. I'm an overachiever. Serious. And everything I do, the goal is to be the best at anything. Writing an email, holding a meeting, even coming to my mom with solutions. I'm like, hey, can I go out? This is where we're going. This is where we're going to be with. I'm going to get back at this time and go on my vacation. Right? And may still get a no. Anyways. So, poetry is not new to me. The first poem I won an award for, I was 8 years old. I'm 24. So, I got recognized by the state of California for my poetry at 12. I won the Long Beach Unified School District Poetry Contest. And then the state of California was like, yeah, that girl is good. But still, I felt so alone in this community. Felt like an outsider. I felt like a nerd. I didn't really care. But it would be nice to have some people who wrote poetry or were into that creative stuff. My family's into sports, so they kind of bully me, like, why you not doing basketball? Like, what do you mean? Like, we all did it, you know? So I'm like, no, I love this. It wasn't until I got to Tuskegee University for my undergrad. I was introduced to CLI by like an ad, and I was like, oh, you know, this is cool, but I don't know what this is. It kind of looked like a scam. So I was like, man, I don't got no money for real, no way. Like, I don't need to be dabbling in this. I'm eating ramen. So I click the ad and I forget about it, and I get a call from Kwamel, and he's like, hey, CLI, like, you ready? You know, you want to do it? And I'm like, dude, who are you? Like, what is this? But anyways, I go through the interview process, and, you know, I prayed about it. And I'm like, hey, God, check this. If this is in my path, let me do this program. I make a GoFundMe, and I'm like, let's run it. I'm going to need the whole year's worth of tuition. And I ended up raising the money on GoFundMe. GoFundMe gave me the money. I was $500 short, and GoFundMe gave me the money. And I was like, okay, God, I hear you, right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to run with it. I get a call from Kwamel, and he's like, hey, the captain is, you know, he's coming to Tuskegee, and he wants to set up a meeting with you. And I'm like, whoa, the dude that signed the acceptance letter? I was like, yeah. So I'm like, shoot, yeah, let's meet. You know, let's eat. It ain't nothing around here. We gonna find something. So Hiram goes up to Tuskegee, and it was the first time I felt like there was somebody out there like me. We're talking about Langston Hughes at the bookstore, and I'm the Langston Hughes like queen, and he told me some stuff I never heard of. Like, Langston Hughes was working in a diner and slid, you know, some people that were there. I think it was a big writer there, slid his work on the table and left it. And I always remembered that, like, wow, let God do what God does. Yes. So I write the book, and then Hiram signs me to World Stage Press. And now I'm even more involved in the community. I'm at shows. I meet people like Tommy Domino, right? A cold piece. And I'm like, wow, this really feels like family, you know? And I come here and I see all these books, and I see all these people who are just like me in these roles, you know, in these shows, hosting. And I'm like, there is God here. God is in here, in these books, in these pages. Then, you know, then I get a call from her. I'm like, hey, you trying to be in this position? I need an assistant. I'm like, yo, where do I submit the resume? And, you know, I'm sure a million applicants went through the process, and, you know, now I work with Hiram every day, you know, and the same, but the same feeling, the same feeling that I had the first time I stepped into this library, the power, the most high in here, the books in here, the stories, it is the same. I walk in here every single day like, man, it's me on these walls. It's me on this wall. I'm with Langston Hughes, you know? So, thank you so much, Hiram. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's get a minute into the panel. This is only the beginning. Business deals, busy days, and bust down Birkin bags just a bougie baddie breaking barriers. Never bargaining on my art and budget limits are higher than ever before. I'm talking like beach city living in brunch with my best friends on the weekends. Bottomless mimosas make me blush when the liquor hits my belly. Blissful living is here, and a broken heart only lasts until my flight is booked and I hear my baggage rolling through. Barcelona. I'll bathe in fresh water and brush the curls out my face. I used to be bashful, now I'm bold and can barely recognize myself. After seeing how much I've blossomed, my enemies are baffled, and my mom, who is here, is boasting that her daughter wrote 2 books. Now I'm booked to feature for shows across the globe, and lately I have realized that this blessing is bigger than I could have ever imagined.
Be honest.
Hi. Make it some noise for Hiram. I'm so honored to be here. My name is Alexander James. I'm gonna tell a little bit of my story. I'm gonna read a piece and we get out of the way. I was born and raised in church, y'all. I met church before I met Jesus. God bless you, sister. I just knew all that. I didn't know what we were singing about, but it was passionate. And I was like, okay, if I do that, I get attention. And we just, and so that's kind of where I kind of got my public speaking chops. The Black church is still the Juilliard of our community, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. That's why I got so many harsh critiques, even though I try to be kind with today's artists. They weren't born in church. They didn't. That's why it's so different, because there's not grace laced in it. So it's just like, anyway. And I fell into poetry. But one of the other sides of being, a Black Baptist boy is you either preach or you sing or you deacon or you sit down. So I needed a place to figure out the psalmist heart that I had, and my church wasn't necessarily a spot for that. I had friends, and I was kind of the church spoken word guy, but I always wanted to write a book, but none of my peers were even interested in it. I didn't even, to tell you the truth, I didn't even know if I was good. Because at church, they're going to clap out the way. They just, they be like, go baby for Jesus. Nobody's giving you honest critiques at church. It's not the Announcers Friday workshop. They're going to let you know, that was bad, And long story short, I stumbled into this community because of Kamari Carter Hawkins. And she said, hey, you got to come here. They'll accept you. And I'm nervous. I'm like, can I be myself? What if they don't like me? And I'm going to say this because it's the truth, because I stopped asking permission, to be honest, a long time ago. The secular space was way more welcoming than most Christian spaces were for my art and my heart. And I'm so grateful for how welcoming and how kind and challenging and critiquing that space was for me. So I stand before you, a published author. My poetry bought my house. I've been to about, like 5 continents. I've been on TV pretty often. This has changed my life. And it's cool if you're you, but if you haven't worked hard to have a space to figure out who you is first, it don't matter. So I'm so grateful and indebted to this space, to Hiram, to Kamari Carter Hawkins, and to all the people who let me be myself. So that I could be honest. So I'm gonna do a piece and get out of your way. I brought some extra copies of my book. If you buy one tonight, all the proceeds go toward them getting this space. So I'm gonna donate books. I'm going to read this piece entitled "Bear Witness." Wife, when you were pregnant, I watched you change. I watched as your body became more portal than person, more passage than people. I did my best to handle you with care as your steps slowed, your feet swole, and I wish I could say it completely happily. I became bellboy, cook, and chauffeur. I was so arrogant then. You see, I could only imagine what it is like for my body to be stretched wide open like windows so a child that has only existed in the imagination of God could bleed through like wine on carpet. I can only imagine what it is like to feel feet kicking your comfort, to never truly be alone, to have Holy Spirit mold soul in you. God is the only one who can give life. So that must be why babies do not speak much. They are still speechless from living in God's thoughts. Children come from a place absent time and full of the will of God. In the 10th month, the day of our anniversary, we went in for a checkup. In my heart, I faced the reality that I would have to face fatherhood soon. How quickly fear becomes Pharaoh, makes you its slave, and then your water broke, and God showed me how he can still use parting waters to free his people. We both drowned in grace that day. We had a birth plan. As natural as possible, I watched. Each time as you grit your teeth during each contraction like grindstone, I watched. The wrinkles above your eyes labyrinth as your thoughts searched for reasons to give up and found none. You said you could take the pain if it had purpose. You made it cathartic. You were hungry. I gave you ice chips, which were useful, about as useful as watering the grass in the rain, and I felt the same way. Your husband felt like the ice chips, broken, cold, and sitting there watching the love of my life go through the pain of her life. I felt helpless. Better yet, unuseful. Wife, my innate need to fix, to improve, to repair are all worthless when it comes to birthing life. I sat there quiet and convicted. And no, there is not much I could do then, but there was so much that I could have done before. You see, I've learned now that childbirth is a woman waging war on the fortress of her body. And I could have cared for the castle better. I could have polished its halls with love and patience. I could have swept its stables with listening and dancing. But no, I let her king me, sat on the throne of her heart heavy like iron. I could have taken the trash out before the tone of her voice signified she told me already.
Be honest.
I could have let my character then reinforce her for the war in her belly. I love my wife. And I always have. But I have not been a good steward of her. I have not rehearsed her like poems I perform. So husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. When her parties run out of wine, perform miracles for her. When she thinks her 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread are not enough, prove God to her. When she gives you her issues, crawl on your knees with her, reaching for the fullness in his hymn. My wife was in labor for 28 hours until her body broke like alabaster, revealing a beautiful bloody hallelujah. I had no idea that becoming a father will make me more husband, and I have learned that a woman's strength is remarkable. I understand now why God would ask for labor before delivery, for sowing before reaping, for storms before peace, because now our son Fear has changed my theology. My only job was to bear witness.
Is someone that I saw first on my living room couch when I was 19 years old watching HBO on demand. He was on a show called Deaf Poetry. Man, he did this poem called Rotten Pomegranates. So good. And then I saw him in person, at Mike and Dim Lights in Pomona, and turned to a straight fan / groupie over there in the like, I think that's him. So without further ado, he came all the way from the IE to join us tonight. So please put your hands together for Best Kept.
Thank you, Hiram. Give it up for the Sims Library of Poetry. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here. I've been doing poetry, been a spoken word poet for over 25 years. I've been blessed to be a part of this community and to pretty much, accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish in poetry. Up until I got in touch with CLI, and the way that happened was I was running an open mic for like 22 years called Mike and Dim Lights. Lucky man, should give it up for that, y'all. Give it up. We finally stopped it, and I didn't have anything else to do. I had a lot of time on my hands because, as you all know, like producing a show takes a lot of effort and energy. And like I said, I've done a lot of things in my life with spoken word, and the one thing that was missing from my to-do list was to write a book. And the reason why it was missing wasn't because I didn't have time to do it. I just didn't know how to write a book. And a book of poetry, I should say. I wrote a book, but it was a book of short stories. And I did that because I spent all my life writing paragraphs. So that was easy. That's what they teach us in school. But when it came to writing poetry, even though I was able to write a poem good enough for me to say and recite, my poems didn't look publishable on a page. And I never was comfortable in the way they looked, or how I wrote them, or whatnot. I just needed the help. And the crazy thing is I can teach the poetry and poetry workshop, but when it came to myself, I just couldn't do it. And I was just kind of like, just skimming, on social media like always, and I came across CLI, and I was like, dang, they helped me write a book. And I didn't even know these were my friends that was putting this on. And I was like, so I just went ahead and signed up, and I was like, this is perfect for me. I can finally write my book after 22 years of being a spoken word poet and active in LA. I can finally write a book. And then my man called me up and said, hey, Best Kept, this you? I was like, yeah, this is Cormel. I said, what's up, man? Yeah, he said, did you sign up for CLI? I was like, yeah. He was like, you sure? Yeah. And I was like, yes, I did. He goes, oh, that's us. That's Hiram. And so anyway, it was a match made in heaven. And I can honestly say that, joining CLI and taking that class was the best thing I ever did for my heart. So I'm going to give as a poet, you got to have it. That's like a rapper not having a CD. As a poet, you got to have a book. So I was able to not only write a book, but I was able to expand my community, and it's still expanding from the people I've met through CLI, and even afterwards being a guest presenter as well. Just meeting dope people and helping them create their books. So this is very important to our community. It's very important to the world. It's very important to each of us who are writers. So one more time, let's give it up for CLI for doing this. The Sims Library of Poetry. This book that I created is called Dreaming of the Polka Dot Stars, and this is my baby. And I remember when they had the book presentation. I couldn't hold back my emotions because I was so happy to have something to be able to create something and hold it in my hand. So here we go. When the wind is pop locking and the trees are cabbage patch.
Yeah.
And the leaves are robo-copping. We are somewhere to nowhere to no hair on our top lip. We peach fuzz. Some wonder if their daddy does, or how tall he was, or how small of an issue to always have to miss you it was. We get through because we learn our lessons. And pray it don't overflow bottled up aggression. Them buttons you pressing could mean go. We go hard on BMXs. Hand-me-down handlebars, big as Texas, flexing. Our black boy muscles, we ain't messing around the corner. Lose liquor, sell depression, and diapers, the ciphers. Out front taught us lessons. Head bobbing, forehead sweating. Head bobbing. Forehead sweating, white dice shoot 7, 11, cherry slurpees like heaven. Red tongues be the devil, blue tongues be flexing. We black boys on brown cardboard, B-boy sessions, MJ's moonwalk gave direction. One glove. One love.
One love.
Expressing the culture, impressing the vultures who had the nerve to handpick the vulgar of our beloved MCs and praise them when they're older. Nights get colder. Mad Dog 2020 till we hang over. The sands hang over our crowns, eyes glazed over. And we vomit out last night's transgressions till the day's over. And wonder what happened. Back then, everybody's rapping. The golden age of hip-hop had every car slapping. Big Daddy Kane ain't no half-stepping. In school, we half-present. It's either half-present or adolescents or bad choiceless. Who represents the voiceless, forever searching? Cries go noiseless till it's curtains. Now we missing persons. Searching on our way out. Get in or fit in or reroute or be out. Be like Harriet Tubman, we out. I wish I had the balls to be like, we out. Head over the hill so I can see out to the trees, cabbage patching, and the dust moonwalking, and the wind pop locking, and the trees are robo-copping. And mama is making her black people burritos with hella cheese. We consume hella red beans and rice, black-eyed hella peas. Be nice at night, thrifty ice cream be right on. Right on magazine be hype, got new editions right on. The front cover we might hover over the TV and watch them on Soul Train on them Saturdays. When the wind is cabbage patching and the dust is moonwalking and the trees are pop locking, we are watching Soul Train on them Saturdays with new edition in them. My big brothers in them, they hum along and they sing along until it's their turn. And on them Saturdays, they mimic Jackson 5, and they mimic Run DMC, and they mimic Earth, Wind, and Fire. And it's like that. And I'm like that wallflower in the corner, fixated between the TV and them mimicking. And even when they're in the way, it's okay, they good too. Just like them dudes do on Soul Train. With the pretty lady Soul Train line type of fine. And our little old TV reverberates out of our little corridor where apartment 99 and 100 and 102 rest 4 squares apart. And in our hearts, Soul Train reminds us of who we are. We are. Black music super hyped on generic Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops, and we are. Black style, black vernacular, and rap groups, and we are. Don Cornelius with his perfect afro hat. And he is loving us, and he is piecing us, and he is souling us till next Saturday. And on them Saturdays, I smell my daddy's pungent cologne when I hug him hello, in my ear on his Mercury belly. And his fancy van had a sink and a prominent couch. The new car sent air fresheners. And the license plates with our last name. And on those Saturdays, we would meet his girlfriends in their best jeans. And eat Chinese. And on them Saturdays, we play ball in the driveway, and he foul hard like old men do. And I fall hard until I learn not to, like young men do. You see the Malcolm X or MLK for us. We debate and fuss and play too much. Cuss when mama ain't around till we slip up. Not to switch up in the tree. Got my name on it, thought about it. Me and the homeboys argued the dopest MCs until we fought about it. We all about it. Chuck D and KRS Black History, they taught about it. Classic raps, slap on our brain cells. We tap into two short freaky tales and marvel how he story tells. Aunties tell us we manage. We call the girls hot tail, or fast, or grown. We act on our own. Asking for phone numbers, acting like front runners still behind. Learning never exhausts the mind. Even when we lost our minds, we still had time. Thank you.
Home for poetry in Los Angeles. There are many incredible poetry spaces in LA. The World Stage, Beyond Baroque, Shades of Africa, so many different ones. But when I talk to some of those heads, the people who founded those mics, some of these mics are 30 years old, DPL, and I asked them, like, what was one thing that you would do differently, from the beginning? And they said, well, we've been doing this for 30 years, and if we had bought the building, we would own it by now. And so, CLI in this space is only 3 years old, and we were like, let's buy it. Let's buy it right now. So we're very excited. If you don't know about CLI, I'll tell you a little bit about CLI. CLI is a literary gang of thugs who also write books. I think of CLI as a group of publishing classes that help writers of color to finish and publish books. And CLI students created this library. And this library is a community space, a home for poetry. We do open mics here. We do book releases, panel discussions. The space was created to serve the community, and it is doing that work. And so we have 10,000 books of poetry on the shelf, which is the largest collection of poetry on the West Coast. Yeah. We got more poetry books than Barnes & Noble, which has 6 books of poetry for some reason. Right? The poetry section is like in the basement, like behind the bathroom. But in addition to having all these great books of poetry, we're most proud that we've helped 406 authors all over the country to write and publish books. And that number continues to grow and grow and grow every year. And so every year we try to, add one feather to the CLI cap. And this year we want to buy a library. So, so we're here to low-key ask you for money, but actually not directly, but also directly. So, we're kicking off this campaign with this show. I want to give a shout out to a couple people before we start. I want to give a shout out to our incredible chef tonight. Give it up for Rico Walker.
How many people are going to be reading tonight?
9.
Yeah? Their own personal funds?
Say again?
Their own personal work?
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the show in 4 minutes. So if you're outside, please come inside. If you are eating chicken out there, please bring your chicken inside with you. Your fruits, whatever you eat, bring it in here with you. You can eat inside on our carpet. We'll be okay.
I'm going to do a master's job this week.
4 minutes.
Call to action.
I'm going to want to know because I might want to do that.
Did she bring it out?
She's bringing it. I'll wait for my phone.
poet, Elsa? You reading tonight?
You?
I'm not reading tonight, though.
No, but you're a poet.
At times.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.